And here's my final point: to take advantage of these marketplaces, folks are going to need to sign up. So you can find out how to sign up at healthcare. Gov, or here in California you can sign up at coveredca.com. Because quality. Care is not something that should be a privilege, it should be a right. In the greatest country on earth. We've got to make sure that every single person that needs healthcare can get it. And we've got to make sure that we do it in the most efficient way possible. One last point I'm going to make on this, because there are a lot of people who currently get health insurance through their employers, the 85% who are already out there, and they may be saying, well, if this law is so great, why is it that my premium still went up? Well, part of what's happening across the country is, in some cases, for example, employers may be shifting more costs through higher premiums or higher deductibles or higher copays. And so there may still be folks who are out there feeling increased costs not because of the affordable care. But because those costs are being passed on to workers or insurance companies, in some cases. Even with these laws in place, they're still jacking up prices unnecessarily. So this doesn't solve the whole problem, but it moves us in the right direction. It's also the reason why we have to keep on implementing changes in how our healthcare system works to continually drive better efficiency, higher quality, lower cost. We're starting to do that. Healthcare cost inflation has gone up at the lowest rate. over the last 3 years that we've seen in many, many years. So we're making progress in actually reducing overall healthcare costs while improving quality. But we're going to have to continue to push on that front as well. That's also part of what we're doing in the Affordable Care Act. But the main message I want for Californians and people all across the country starting on October 1st. If you're in the individual market, you can get a better deal. If you're a small business that's providing health insurance to your employees, you can get a better deal through these exchanges. You've got to sign up, healthcare.gov, or here in California at coveredca.com. All right. So thank you very much. Question, Mr. President. President Obama, I'm going to take one question. And then, remember, people are going to have opportunities too. Also answer questions when I'm with the Chinese president today. So I don't want the whole day to just be a bleeding press conference. But I'm going to take Jackie Calmes' question. Question, Mr. President, could you please react to the reports of secret government surveillance of phones and internet? And can you also assure Americans that the government your government doesn't have some massive secret database of all their personal online information and activities? President Obama, yes. When I came into this office, I made two commitments that are more important than any commitment I made. Number 1, to keep the American people safe, and number 2, to uphold the Constitution. And that includes what I consider to be a constitutional right to privacy and an observance of civil liberties. Now, the programs that have been discussed over the last couple. Days in the press are secret in the sense that they're classified. But they're not secret in the sense that when it comes to telephone calls, every member of Congress has been briefed on this program. With respect to all these programs, the relevant intelligence committees are fully briefed on these. Programs. These are programs that have been authorized by broad bipartisan majorities repeatedly since 2006. And so, I think at the outset, it's important to understand that you're duly elected. Representatives have been consistently informed on exactly what we're doing. Now, let me take the two issues separately. When it comes to telephone calls, nobody is listening to your telephone calls. That's not what this program is about. As was indicated, what the intelligence community is doing is looking at phone numbers and durations of calls. They are not looking at people's names, and they're not looking at content. But by sifting through this so-called metadata, they may identify potential leads with respect to folks who might engage in terrorism. If the intelligence community then actually wants to listen to a phone call, they've got to go back to a federal judge, just like they would in a criminal investigation. So I want to be very clear some of the hype that we've been hearing over the last day or so. Nobody is listening to the content of people's phone calls. This program, by the way, is fully overseen not just by Congress, but by the FISA court, a court specially. Put together to evaluate classified programs to make sure that the executive branch, or government generally, is not abusing them, and that it's being carried out consistent with the Constitution and rule of law. And so, not only does that court authorize the initial gathering of data, but I want to repeat. If anybody in government wanted to go further than just that top line data and want to, for example, listen to Jackie Calmes' phone call. They would have to go back to a federal judge and indicate why, in fact, they were doing further probing. Now, with respect to the internet and emails, this does not apply to you. As citizens, and it does not apply to people living in the United States. And again, in this instance, not only is Congress fully apprised of it, but what is also true is that the FISA court has to authorize it. So in summary, what you've got is two programs that were originally authorized by Congress. Have been repeatedly authorized by Congress, bipartisan majorities have approved on them. Congress is continually briefed on how these are conducted. There are a whole range of safeguards involved, and federal judges are overseeing the entire program throughout. We've also set up an audit process. When I came into office, to make sure that we're after the fact, making absolutely certain that all the safeguards are being properly observed. Now, having said all that, you'll remember when I made that speech a couple of weeks ago. About the need for us to shift out of a perpetual war mindset. I specifically said that one of the things that we're going to have to discuss and debate is how are we striking this. Balance between the need to keep the American people safe and our concerns about privacy. Because there are some trade-offs involved. I welcome this debate. And I think it's healthy for our democracy. I think it's a sign of maturity, because probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we might not have been having this debate. And I think it's interesting that there are some folks on the left but also some folks on the right. Who are now worried about it, who weren't very worried about it when there was a Republican president. I think that's good that we're having this discussion. But I think it's important for everybody to understand, and I think the American people understand that there are some trade-offs involved. I came in with a healthy skepticism about these programs. My team evaluated them. We scrubbed them thoroughly. We actually expanded some of the oversight, increased some of safeguards. But my assessment and my team's assessment was that they help us prevent terrorist attacks. And the modest encroachments on the privacy that are involved in getting phone numbers or duration without a name attached and not looking at content, that on net, it was worth us doing. Some other folks may have a different assessment on that. But I think it's important to recognize that you can't have 100%. Security and also then have 100% privacy and zero inconvenience. We're going to have to make some choices as a society. And what I can say is that in evaluating these programs, they make a difference in our capacity to anticipate and prevent possible terrorist activity. And the fact that they're under very strict supervision by all three branches of government and that they do not involve listening to people's phone calls, do not involve reading the emails of U.S. citizens or U.S. residents absent further action by a federal court that is entirely consistent with what we would do. For example, in a criminal investigation, I think on balance, we have established a process and a procedure that the American people should feel comfortable about. But, again, these programs are subject to congressional oversight. And congressional reauthorization and congressional debate. And if there are members of Congress who feel differently, then they should speak up. And we're happy to have that debate. Okay. All right. And we'll have a chance to talk further over the course of the next couple of days. Question: do you welcome the leaks, sir? Do you welcome the leaks? Do you welcome the debate?